please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Hello everyone, welcome to the exhibition of stupid people. Today we're going to start with iDubbbz and iDubbbz Mrs. or Mrs. iDubbbz. I can't be asked to remember your name. A video was doing its rounds, a little bit dated I will grant you, that has confirmed that Creator Clash 3 is going to be happening. A trilogy that no one wanted. There are many trilogies that exist that no one wants. And much like many trilogies that no one wants, I can be certain this one's going to make sod all money. But it's okay. They can blame Froggy Fresh if they like, maybe Sam High, or anyone else that they either take away from the event or they just want to blame because how dare they turn up to the event because their existence is haram. What I thought I'd do is go through the clip that was tweeted by Beazle Bumbleman about it.
It's complicated and there are a lot of things that we need to think about, obviously, including finances. And we have other things that are kind of cropping up, we're getting a proper accountant for our business who's helping us try to make good decisions going forward, because we have a lot of things happening and a lot of money that isn't ours that is potentially going to be given to us, so now we can't really fuck around.
Considering how much money was on the table last time for Creator Clash 2 and the fact you were a net deficit and couldn't give charities money, you should have, by the way, invoiced the charities for the money that you lost. That would have been very funny. I'm impressed it took you a third Creator Clash to do this anyway. I know that the origin of this was originally to try and get Rice Gum in the ring with iDubbbz when iDubbbz was still funny and got views, and when Rice Gums still got views. However, you took this down the charitable route. The first did well, the second failed. It failed because of card changes, it failed because of iDubbbz change. Yes, turns out when you go down that path, there is going to be a consequence, and this one was to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars for charity. And yourselves, I guess. You shouldn't have been messing around the first, you definitely shouldn't the second. I'm impressed it took you a third to get there.
Anymore. So we have to pay for an accountant and we have to do all these things, and we have a lot of, that's the other thing I wanted. Creator Clash and what we're working on with Creator Clash right now is we are looking for funding outside, which we have a lot of interest and a lot of people, or a few people, willing to pay quite a bit of money to help us get it done.
Just a query before I make another point. At any point in this clip, does iDubbbz even speak? Now on to the point. Who on earth would want to back something like this, considering how crap the last one was?
YouTube seems interested in helping us.
That's interesting. YouTube wanting to dip their feet in that. Pie. Insert obligatory, crass jokes if you like. I don't mind in the slightest. But I don't think, on a serious point, YouTube should be investing in this, because it would be better for them to set up their own sodding event instead. But I guess when you've had such a rip-roaringly successful redemption arc like iDubbbz, the first cuck of the cucky cuck cucks, it's not surprising that YouTube would want to dip their toes in that water. Although I would advise they go down the Misfits route, that still makes money, comparative to Creator Clash.
Which is really nice. And it looks like in 2025, we could potentially, I don't want to curse it or anything, but potentially have a very good setup for a event that is not up in the air up until the day before with pay-per-view sales.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain your pay-per-view numbers won't be so up in the air because they'll be in the ground. YouTube will promote the crap out of it, of course, because they'll get a slice of the action, 40%. It will still do really badly unless you put out a card that people want. I would also advise, if you intend to take this down the business route, you to limit your involvement because you're a pair of cowboys. You bodge-jobbed your way to this far. You used iDubbbz's name when he was, let's say, relevant. That word should ring true a little more with himself, since his first fight was supposed to be against someone who loved the word relevant. It's all a bit tragic, really, isn't it? Oh, and iDubbbz finally said something. Did you hear that? It was really poignant.
And it's very exciting. It would be more than one event as well, which is very exciting.
Exciting for who? Beyond Sam Hyde, finding his way into the stands of a near-empty venue. Owing to the changes in iDubbbz, because of Mrs. iDubbbz, Creator Clash 2 was a absolute disaster. So why do more? You can throw as much money as you want at something, but it doesn't mean it's going to be good. Insert Marvel Phase 4 and 5 here if you like. And the DCU after the Snyder Cut.
But with that comes a lot of new things that are being introduced, and if we've learned anything, it's that no one is going to look out for us other than us. Yeah. So we now have to really armor up and make sure that we have everything done properly before we move forward.
So basically you're trying to make sure that when you get criticism, there isn't much room for criticism. That's cute. You seem to be learning how to internet a little, but are showing with this clip alone that you don't actually understand the internet. Don't forget what the entire point of Creator Clash was meant to be, and how badly you failed at it. The timing of that, with the timing of what iDubbbz was doing with his channel, did you no favours. The event itself was also absolute shite, and you know I'm right. I also love that while you're still talking, iDubbbz pulls out his phone and starts looking at that while totally listening to you.
Which is why things are going so slow. We aren't doing 2024 because there's just no way that we can do it while protecting ourselves properly.
Yeah. That's not why. The reason why is because you were unable to secure the funds to get people necessarily invested into Creator Clash 3, or an event like Creator Clash but a part 3. Additionally, you are trying to give time its due to allow enough to pass so less people who are more critical of you are inclined to speak on this in a negative manner. There could well be some merit to what you've said about taking your time. I firmly believe, though, you're doing this solely so you don't have as much blowback as you have done in the past. So with that out of the way, I want to highlight 2 videos on my main channel I've done called How to End a Channel in 1 Easy Video and How to End a Channel in 2 Easy Videos. They were done on a YouTube channel with a bunch of former BuzzFeed employees whose names I've forgotten already, who set up their own streaming platform and said goodbye to YouTube with this rather well put together video. It cracked me up to no end. It really did, because they went to do their own little Netflix thing and thought their audience would go with them. So over a weekend, they would then go on to make another video saying, oh, we're not going to really, but we're going to put it behind, early access on the streaming platform, and then a month later on YouTube, which is what lots of creators could do anyway with YouTube. But of course, in their case, generate additional funds through their streamer subscriptions so they can make more original content. They're not who we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about the Try Guys, who are doing something similar. On Wednesday, the Try Guys launched their own branded subscription stream service, Second Try, in a shift away from YouTube as their core source of monetizing the content they produce. Now, I understand why many would create their own streaming platform or website to make sure their content is hosted and accessible. With some of it being exclusive, it incentivizes people to go there instead, because YouTube for certainly larger channels is becoming less of a viable option for them to produce that super stellar TV quality content. I understand that. I personally don't care for it, but that's me just being me, right? Although saying that, since I've not been paid on time by YouTube, thanks for that AdSense, one does certainly have to navigate rather irritating consequences brought on by failures through the bureaucratic process that is YouTube and Google and AdSense. Now, if you don't know who the Try Guys are, they were, let's say, under the microscope of the social media landscape back in 2022, when Ned Fulmer was ousted from the company over allegations of cheating with a subordinate. This had later been confirmed by Ned. He was married. I don't know if he still is. Moving on. Let's go with that. Recently, Eugene Lee, one of the other founding members of the Try Guys, announced that they were leaving, or it was announced in the video, the Try Guys, the new Try Guys. How exciting for them, as they also then push forward with their streaming platform. During the video of the new Try Guys, I couldn't help but notice they multiple times kept saying, all our shows will still be here, and that tickled me, because it felt like they'd learnt the lesson of the channel I'd made 2 videos on, whose name I've forgotten because they're that interesting to me. But this was also something that they had also said, because they weren't going to be deleting content that could generate passive views, they were just going to start transitioning to get more people to go somewhere else. The argument always being for channels like this that are quite large, being that YouTube is no longer supporting them. I'll be honest, and this might be something for those who are in the higher echelons they may not realise because they're so out of touch, but YouTube hasn't been there for those on the lower end. What made you think they'd still be there for you too? There are levels of stupid involved in all of this. Having your own streaming platform, reasoning being because YouTube, and then publishing it on YouTube, feels like a doorway's being opened to inevitable criticism. But because you've clearly watched the criticism received by others for doing this, you are trying to make it seem like you are better, or above, or different. Honourable mention to the EDC Las Vegas 2024, the Electric Daisy Carnival, I think, where this image was doing its rounds. Now, of course, on Twitter, readers added context explaining this was essentially for VIPs. My view on it is, holy crap, who on earth is going to pay that much for a glass of Jameson's or Jack Daniels? And in the case of Jack Daniels, you could buy multiple cases of it. These drinks may well be for VIPs, but for some of those drinks on that, I don't make that in a year. The right side, in case you haven't noticed, this is an astonishing amount of taking the piss out of your customers. To the final subject, I have to bring back Assassin's Creed. I've got to, it's hilarious. We'll start with a tweet that is actually ahead of the articles that I'm going to reference that will be in the pinned comment. CaseyTron, white male fragility is at an all-time high right now. Saying cracker is anti-white racism. Saying slave owners should be unalived is calling for that word against white people. Outrage over a black guy in Assassin's Creed. Thank you to all the screeching incels under my post, proving my point. To which many pointed out to Casey, you're in the same box as the white males you complain about. I forgot that CaseyTron for the most part was about. I see her here and there, that's about it. But I remember during the time of Gamergate, she was very well regarded, yes, highly regarded, for 2 big reasons. Someone did though point out that there are interpretations to information that Casey may have misunderstood. In one instance, twisting what Sean had said, specifically calling for slave owners' children, which apparently is destined to be unalived, which would somehow achieve socialism. CaseyTron saying, no, he said if they would have been unalived, like they should have been, destiny would cease to exist. He didn't say unalive the children of slave owners, you psycho incels just spinning things. The problem CaseyTron has is, she's made a statement on Twitter, but not got a clip to validate what she said. Turns out though, someone did bother to reply to them with the timestamp of the clip, with the creator Sean actually saying what Pearl says.
Sean Black System needs to kill Destiny?
This is what happens when you don't kill every single slave owner after slavery. You get Destiny. We would have socialism at this point if someone just went out of their way and...
Unfortunately for him, there are people that can read his lips.
We would have socialism at this point if someone just went out of their way and...
Now that is a segue away from Assassin's Creed, so we're going to come back to that. For example, Assassin's Creed Shadows, for those who do want to play it, will not be available on the PS4, will not be available on the Xbox One, which could well harm Ubisoft in their attempts to make absolute bank on this game, which they need to, and they certainly would considering the price if people wanted it. There are actors from other versions, other franchise iterations, like Origins, the actor who portrayed Bayek. I'm sure your hill has a lovely view. No offense to this particular individual, but you, being African, portraying an Egyptian African descent anyway, made sense. What annoys a lot of people is the historical information available concerning Yasuka and how the claimed protagonist, Yasuka, is solely there as a token, which in turn for many in Japan who have been quite critical of this as well, makes them feel like they have been excluded, especially when there are so many different Japanese samurai you could have chosen. You chose the one that has been historically proven to be not a samurai and also a quitter. Learning the Law made some interesting tweets concerning other games, so we should highlight that as well. Liberation, no controversy. Freedom Cry, no controversy. Assassin's Creed 3, no controversy. Asking for the first Assassin's Creed Japanese male main character in Japan since 2008. IGN, you are racist, California being California, because yes, they have basically gone down that path. This is tragic, and I look forward to seeing more of it unfold as some more developments come to light. I'm sure many will still buy this game regardless, because much like Bethesda with Fallout games, some of which required updates bigger than the original game file to save, there are fans and sheeple who will just buy the game anyway. I have yet to be given a reason to, but I also don't own an Xbox Series X, and I also don't own a PS5, so I don't really have to worry too much. Of course I could play this on PC, but that's not likely. I'm still struggling to slog my way through Valhalla and finish Odyssey, because the RPG is a bit too much.